Happy Wednesday to anybody listening. This is Jacob Klag, and that is
Alex O'Connor.
And we are Two Dudes Making a Podcast. Just another two dudes dropping a pod in a sea of two dudes making a podcast. How will these two dudes ever survive? Let again, we are two dudes making a podcast, and I wanted to talk with you about the original Xbox.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
The first Xbox that they ever released, and all the things that that means to me, and the fact that you made a comment. You made a comment that I haven't been able. Yes, and I haven't been able to let off my chest since you made it. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So I went out and I saw on the. Well, that was an interesting interruption. What the fuck is that? Stop. Oh my god.
What is this?
It was me fucking about. Okay. So
now I want to hear the full thing.
No, we're not doing that. Okay.
All right,
So look,
okay.
that was really strange. Point is, so I bought an Xbox off of Facebook, the original Xbox with a whole bunch of games.
Yeah.
And I bought it, and you came over, and you have a tendency to say things that you think are funny, but are also half truths. Okay, and you will say things to me
not wrong. Yeah.
that are mildly insulting.
Yeah, on purpose.
Yeah, and you said to me, you overpaid for that as a joke. You said that to me. Yeah, you fucking did. And I haven't been able to let it go ever since I've been playing.
What did you pay for it?
Every time I play the Xbox, I hear Alex go,
for this.
"You overpaid for it."
What did you pay for it?
Which has been killing my enjoyment of a game system that has certain meaning to me. So I paid $100 for an Xbox that came with all the cables, 4 controllers, albeit only 2 of them are real Xbox controllers. The other ones are some Mad Catz bullshit.
Yeah.
And then we've got the 32 games that it came with, though the games are not in cases. They're all in this, like, I've never seen this shit, and it bothers the fuck out of me.
Should have been $40.
That's... that somebody would who throws away the cases? Who does that?
People.
It drives me nuts. I like the manual.
People
I like
need
the
space.
I
agree with you.
You need space? How much space did you save? I want to know.
Hey, 32
Have you
game
seen
boxes.
what the original
we should
Xbox...
measure them and then count them out. No.
Have you
the original Xbox? They're like DVD cases, aren't they?
Yeah,
that
no,
size?
they
are. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just the original Xbox is so big that it makes me wonder how it is that you would look at that and then say, you know what I really need to be doing is saving up space.
Everything about the original Xbox is so big. I can't remember, even though we played on it, you don't have the original big controller, do you?
I have a single original big controller.
Where that black and white button at the top where you've got to like do a Texas two-step to reach it. Like, to get up there. It's just like,
it's
oh
a
my
Mad
God.
Catz white one with a macro button that
Yeah,
I don't even know
yeah.
how to make that work. I don't know how to make that button
I
work.
think it only works on some games, but
That appears to be one of the issues with it, aside from it being a big honking motherfucker. So,
big controller. They immediately changed that. I don't know the time frame, but I know they came out and they were just like, yeah, this controller's too big. like 2 months into it, they're just like, yeah, we got new controllers for you.
why would it be after the sales have been like the numbers have been coming in, and you're like, we have a whole team of people who came up with this design, and only now are we realizing the controller's too big. Like, who did they have in charge of controller production? Like, somebody on the design team was like 6'9",
I think,
and he like ate. He like ate the neighborhood dogs to survive.
Did the Dreamcast come out before the original Xbox?
It did.
It did, because I think it probably took its cue from that, because they had big ass controllers too. But it made more sense, like the way those big controllers were. They still.
Yeah, I feel like they may have had some extendy, like longy bits, going towards your body when you're holding it properly. But other than that, all the buttons were in a pretty reasonable location.
Yeah, exactly.
They weren't fat.
I do remember the very first time I played Xbox. I was at my friend Andy's house, and we played Halo. Of course
you did.
And we fought each other, of course. And I didn't know how to play it, so he killed me. But I just realized that from then on, my whole thing to do with Andy was to cross the Saharan desert to push one of those buttons that could throw the plasma grenade.
You mean on the controller?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Because I was tiny and I was a young boy and I could not reach, but if I just kept hitting that plasma grenade button, every now and again it would stick to him, and I could laugh and laugh as I watched him run, and then he would die. Granted, it would be one kill from him. I would kill him once and he would kill me 40 times in the meantime. But, that was my trial by fire of the first Halo game. That was fun.
You reminded me of being at my cousin's house. They three girls. My uncle had the 3 girls or whatever, and one boy going over to 3 girls' house, and they had an N64 with the GoldenEye, and I was playing with all the cheats on or something, or one of the guns had like a laser sight. If you had it on there, you could select it or something like that. And you throwing the plasma grenade immediately reminded me of how I was showing my uncle how funny I thought I was by aiming at like guys' crotches with the laser.
And shooting it.
Well, not shooting it immediately, but just like saying, "There's a bug on you," bang, because the little red dot.
The little red dot looked like
bug
a bug
on you, bang, bug on you, bang. To the point that they thought it was excessive. Because it was always crotch shots.
Well,
so
of course.
They thought there was something going on.
9 or whatever.
7 or a little bit younger, like just to frame the point being.
I'm trying to remember a different age.
They found it a bit bothersome that I kept shooting people in the crotch.
I mean, I don't. I think that's perfectly normal.
I do too. Though it reminds me of playing Max Payne and thinking it was really funny to. Because you get the shotgun pretty early if you look in the cabinet when you first come in the original Max Payne. And you can take that. And the first thing that happens in Max Payne is his baby gets killed and his wife gets killed. And you see the baby before you see the wife.
What a game.
And like just being a fucked up kid, I was like, let's unload the shotgun shells into the dead baby in the crate. And my older brother saw me doing it and he's like, stop!
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What? It's funny. No, it's not funny.
I mean, it's kind of funny. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
funny.
with the original Xbox, the reason that I bought
The original Xbox
for $100, aside from the fact that it seemed like a good deal,
$40
on it, even though I'm being ridiculed.
No, $100 is perfectly fine for an Xbox and like 30 games and 3 controllers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like a crazy deal to me.
Again, literally sometimes I just throw things out there because it's funny and it hurts. Because hurting is funny to me. And I'm so sorry.
It certainly had staying power.
Sometimes I seem like a really nice guy. I swear to God.
I bought it because the original Xbox that I already had. Yes, I have 2 Xboxes now.
It's true.
I'm that kid from elementary school that told you he had 2 Xboxes. Except now I'm not lying.
Well, that's what adults do. They buy the shit they never could when they were a kid. I'm gonna have 2 Xboxes like a millionaire.
The reason that I have 2 is because the one that I had inherited from the house, my parents' house when they moved. I ended up taking it was almost it's kind of broken. Like it's broken enough that it's obnoxious. The disc reader doesn't read the disc like it's supposed to.
Oh.
So it'll take a little while. It'll have to warm up before it really wants to read a disc. And I had to go in there and like fuck with it. So I bought another one to get rid of that annoyance because I didn't want that annoyance, even though I like the original Xbox and I still have the one. And the fucking Xbox means something to me. The original,
I understand.
No, but it means something to me on like a different level than I think you might completely understand.
I don't think
because when I think of Xbox, I think of my older and my younger brother fighting each other in the hallway.
Yeah, of course.
Like literally one on either side of the Xbox holding it in a battle to the death, just screaming over because fucking Halo 2, internet or whatever. And
ruined everything.
And my older brother, he has to, he's playing. And like, what do you expect?
He's the older brother.
What do you expect, people to be doing but be addicted to fucking games?
Especially Halo when it came out. Goddamn.
Shit, yes.
Goddamn, what a good game.
So they fought over it, and that day still is stuck in the back of my brain because the way that day, because it was like a massive fight. And like both my parents are teachers, so they're at school or whatever. My dad, I called my dad on my brothers because the way that they were fighting. They were fighting.
That's tough.
No,
yeah. I know what you mean. I've done that
I didn't know
before.
what to do.
Yeah.
It seemed really violent. So like I didn't know what to do. And when I called him, I didn't like calmly call him. I called him in like a total panic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And when I called him, he picks up and he goes, hello. But no, it was like the business phone for the school. So he answers it in like the most professional way. And then all he hears is, Josh is being an asshole and he's fighting my older brother. It's like, what are you saying? It's like, that's about, the gist of it. So he just says, I will be there.
I know that call.
I will be there soon.
Wow.
And he came.
He was there soon.
Yeah, no doubt was
How
he
long?
there soon.
Soon.
But here's the thing. The injustice. The reason it sticks out so much like a sore thumb. The injustice of the way that he arrived.
The reason that you need two.
The reason that I need, that I see it as a win that I even have the Xbox from the house at all. Aside from the day of the two of them fighting and I'm the one who ends up with it.
And you're also the middle brother, so it's weird that you weren't fighting as well.
Well, that'll just tie into all the regular mental issues you keep seeing coming about. However, the injustice of his arrival was to, one, take me and then my younger brother away from the Xbox. Take us to the school and make us do schoolwork while he finished regular work that he was doing.
Oh, because he was working at the school. Right?
Yeah, so he still had to go back and go, it makes sense to me as an adult.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
But as a kid, what did I do other than call him and say that the two others were fighting? Why am I being removed from the situation?
What you did is you couldn't be left home alone. That's what you did. I mean, that's really it.
No, but then who the fuck is it? Who is it that ends up getting to win in that situation with the person who was probably perpetrating the fucking battle in the goddamn first place?
I understand. Clag, I understand.
And he gets to stay home and play the Xbox that got slammed onto the ground. He gets to continue to play Halo 2 uninterrupted. It's just a fucking removal. So anyways, I get the Xbox that doesn't work properly. Hooray for me. And then I spent $100 that's apparently too much fucking money on a goddamn Xbox to finally enjoy the Xbox for once in my life.
Ooh, that actually is really interesting. You bring up this aspect. I'm an older brother of two. I'm there's no middle brother, but I'm the older one. I have a younger one. So it's interesting. It'd almost be better if you were the younger brother, because then I could really dig deep into here. But at least a middle brother is still outside of my purview that I don't understand. One of the really interesting things about being an older brother is that as soon as you are allowed to do something, all siblings are now allowed to do this thing. Are you aware of this phenomena?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yes, I am.
And I will be curious at your thoughts.
And I'm the one who perpetrates,
of course,
the beginning of the slide that you're about to describe.
Because my thought is like literally the day that you as let's say a 10-year-old are now allowed to go to bed at 8 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. Guess what? Younger brother, who may be 2 years younger than you, or 3 or whatever, my brother's 2 years younger than me, now also gets to go to bed at whatever fucking time I said. Who I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's fucking unfair. Yes, as the younger brother, you get the hand-me-downs, although I'm sure my brother got some, but I still
a wolf
think he was
t-shirt
the
or
baby.
two.
I had one. But it's just really, it always really bothered me that happened. And I've always been curious about what do the younger brothers feel or understand about that in that situation. As you said, like, oh, I have thoughts, So what was your experience with that as a younger brother? I wasn't allowed to water ski until I was 14. No, I'm kidding. I've never water skied. I'm just kidding.
The first thing that comes to mind is actually like that all beatings stopped at about the same time, except but but that meant that the oldest
they never stopped for me.
But that meant that the oldest brother got hit for the longest amount of time.
Yes, of course. Yeah. No.
So they probably
the
see
oldest brother
that.
Has the hardest time. I understand this.
So that means that the oldest brother sees the injustice in his eyes is that nobody else got hit until they were 14.
Yeah. You got to stop at 12, and you got to stop at 10, you asshole. Why are you the most fucked up? Maybe I need to beat my kids. I'm kidding. Don't beat your kids.
Unless you're doing it so they'll become artistic.
I mean, we are artists. We are artists.
That would be like one of the first things that comes to my mind. Of course, that's one of the more darker things. But what's the?
We could get worse.
What's some other stuff? I mean, the bedtime shit. I mean, you're 100% on with that.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, it's just one of those weird things that like I don't think about. But remembering that you're a middle brother, it's like, I wonder what he thought about this. What did he feel? Did he feel guilty? No, he didn't. He didn't, did he?
No, there's no reason.
Of course not.
Why would we feel guilty?
No, you would just feel like this is the time and I fucking better. There's another thing. I wonder if you've experienced this. My wife has experienced this. My wife is also an older sibling. When you, as an older sibling, have, let's say, friends over or go play with friends or anything like that, you have to, 9 times out of 10, take the younger siblings with you. They either have to be a part of what you're doing if you have your friends over, or they have to go with you if you go hang out with your older friends. They have to do that. And as a younger sibling, yeah, I gotta do that. You get to hang out because your older sibling is like, I don't want to hang out with you. Please go away. And again, what's your experience with this?
So as a middle child, I both get the, hey, he has to hang out with you.
That's true. You get both.
And I also get to be the fucking third wheel or fifth wheel, however you want to put it. And all you're reminding me of currently is
boom,
the movie Spaceballs.
So good.
Okay, so the first time that I ever saw the movie Spaceballs, it was my older brother had rented it.
Ooh.
He had like two
We're combing
friends.
the desert. Sorry.
He had 2 friends over to watch said movie, and I get to sit in with him because it's some like birthday type shit. I'm not entirely sure. And I'm sure that he would tell me that my memory's wrong. But the point is that we're sitting there and we're watching it, and he already doesn't want me to be there.
Of course. Yeah,
he's just searching for reasons.
Please go away. I don't want to deal with you right now.
The opening scene of Spaceballs is the really long ship.
Yeah.
That just keeps going.
Great joke.
Okay. Yes, great joke.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like it's self-explanatory, doesn't it? Like it's just funny because it's funny. You know what the fuck happened?
Because it's making fun of Star Wars. Yeah.
Well, I didn't really see that. It's just a really long ship. It's funny.
Well, as in the opening crawl of Star Wars, there's a long ship. It's not insanely long, but it shows you the power of the Empire, the strengths of this, and then they push it to 100 in Spaceballs. Yeah.
All right. So me, 7. I don't know. I mean,
7.
Probably a bit young.
Savage 7.
Probably a bit young to really be watching Spaceballs to 100% of understanding.
Well, for sure that you can watch it, but yeah, you won't understand everything.
The point that I'm getting to is I laughed at a scene that seemed to be funny.
However, I understand the feeling of your older brother. Immediately, you're like, you don't know why that's funny.
That's what he said.
Yeah, I know he said that.
That's what he said to me.
I've been that person.
He said, "Why is it funny?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, guys. It says I break for no one." Yeah, but why is that funny?
I don't know.
It's funny.
Someone else laughed,
You
and I
don't
did
know why
too.
It's funny. You're not allowed to laugh. Your laugh is phony. Your laugh shows your ignorance of understanding of why things are funny.
Your laugh is a lie.
That's what he said.
And it's true.
And I was then kicked out of the room. I didn't get to fucking see all the Spaceballs. No, that was his final.
That's amazing.
Final moment.
That's amazing. This is amazing. He had that power to do such a thing, and I wish I did.
Hey,
I wish I had that power.
Saying the guy. You saying
I'm sorry,
the guy,
Charlie. You're not listening to this, but I love you. But
you're saying the
it's
guy
one of those things
who gets his after getting into a fight over the Xbox. Years later, still showing the power he has over the siblings. They get removed while he gets to continue to play.
Well, that's interesting because, again, I feel the opposite. As the older sibling, I was never allowed to remove the younger sibling unless something truly bad happened. Truly bad. This is great, actually. I grew up on a campground. Okay? Like, not my whole life, but my grandparents owned a campground. And so... And that, trust me, even though I was poor growing up, blah, 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 I had all these problems. My grandparents were not. So, we certainly had that safety net. And every summer, I lived on a campground in Windsor, New York. It was beautiful. It's some of my best memories, completely. Of course, I had friend groups at the campground during the summer because most of the same people would come to camp over the summer, and we would develop friend groups. My brother would also have to come along. generally 9 times out of 10, whatever we were doing ended up in my brother crying, and that meant it's time to go home. It's time to go home.
You remind me of every trip to the beach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
was exactly the same as that.
It's just like, well, the younger brother started crying. We got to go home. Yeah, somebody started crying. We're going home. What was interesting, and this has nothing to do with the story, but otherwise, the only other way we would go home is my grandmother had an air horn. This was before cell phones. So if we were out on this...
how do those two connect?
No. I'm going to tell you. Yeah. So the campground was big. It was sprawling. There were mountains that we would climb. There was, we could be out in the middle of the forests, and we were anywhere between 7 and 15 years old. And if my grandmother thought it was time to come home, or if it was like lunchtime or blah blah blah, whatever, my grandmother who owned the campground, she had a double wide on the campground, so she's not camping. She lives there,
King of the campground.
King of the campground. Queen and king of the campground. My grandmother would go out onto the porch. It's also, the campground was around a lake. So that kind of gives you an idea of how sound carries. So it's like on one side, like where you come in, there's my grandmother's house. There's, a circle around the lake, and it kind of sprawls out from that. There's a mountain basically on the other side of the lake that goes up after you're done with the camping grouping, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But so sound would carry. So if my grandmother wanted us to come home, she would walk out onto the porch with a little air horn and go, and we could be like 3 miles away and be like, shit, Grandma's calling. We got to go. Everybody, we got to go. And then everybody would disperse. But yeah, it's not important to the story, just funny. But other than that, we went home when my brother was crying. That was just a general rule of thumb. That's what would happen. That happened if we were playing with paintball guns. There was a really great time where we were playing with paintball guns, and my brother ran out into the road, and I just took a hip shot and hit him in the dick. And it was just like, well, everybody, we're going home. I didn't mean to do it, but I'm gonna get in trouble for it. So let's just do it now. Let's get it over with. Anyway, this is one of our favorite parts of the campground. Technically, it was actually off the campground. If you went around the lake, around the back, there was a mountain. Right before that mountain, if you go through the woods, there was actually a excavation site for potholes and stuff. So there was these giant sand dunes, basically, that again, earth movers would go in, pick it up, and then you could use that to fill in dirt roads and whatever they need to do. The actual mountain itself was a quarry. Like an actual quarry, so they would mine rocks and blah blah blah, whatever that is. It's great. If I can find a picture, I'll show you. There was a Darth Vader head in the mountain. I know this doesn't make any sense to anybody, but I promise there was a Darth Vader head in the mountain. It was just like a concrete structure that literally looked like a Darth Vader face.
But just to you?
Well, to most people. Yeah.
Did it get its own sign?
No, it didn't. But it
face.
Was visible from every part of the campground for the most part. Anyway, so we were in the sand dune. We called it the sand pits because we're dumb. But because it was sand dunes, it was like mountains of sand that you could crawl up. And we did. We would climb them. We'd fucking slide down them, blah, 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 whatever, do everything. It was a lot of fun. We developed a game that was very dangerous. The game was, so we had these giant sand dunes, and they kind of all connected together in a horseshoe shape. And it was also they were super huge, so there's actually growth there. There's trees coming out of them. There's part of the actual forest that's growing into these sand dunes. And we on the two ends of those horseshoe shapes, one of us, we would have two teams. One of us would build a fire, a small fire. Maybe the size of a dinner plate, small. And you had a lot of stuff to work with to burn. It wasn't hard to find that. But what the game was that those two teams, each one would build a fire, and then you would throw sand clods, dirt clods, whatever you want to call them, at the other team. the point of it was to put out the other team's fire. So if you wanted to win, you had to grab a bunch of sand balls or whatever, and either go around the horseshoe kind of shape, like up your 20, 30 feet high, so you gotta be careful, and into the forest and around certain ways, or you could crawl down one of the faces and crawl up the other faces and throw fucking sand at people, and actually hard sand. It's like as if sand was a snowball. It didn't hurt that bad, but it definitely hurt. And if you got hit, you had to go back to your fire to be revitalized. Yeah, so
it's the early Dark Souls.
It's the early Dark Souls. Yeah, before Dark Souls, it's what we were doing. And so the thing is, the goal of the game is to put out the other person's fire. Because if you could put out the other person's fire by either throwing sand at it and put it out, or killing the people around it and stomping it out, then they couldn't revive until a fire was started again. And and so the point was, well, as soon as the fire's out, if you can kill everybody on the opponent's team, you win. Great game.
It sounds awesome.
It's fun. I was an extremely fortunate child.
My childhood is becoming deflated as I'm listening.
It's okay. It's all right. Now, we had one of these games. We didn't play that game too many times. It took a long time for us to create that game. You know what I mean? That was not us at 8. That was us at 13. You know what I mean? And it's mostly the same group of friends throughout the whole time, because the same people kept coming back to this campground.
Because you guys are the Goonies.
Yes, yeah, we're the Goonies of the campground. And my grandparents own the campground, so fuck off. I'm going to do what I want around here. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we play this game. And I don't remember who won. It's not the point. The point is, my brother didn't cry. Most of the times, my brother would end up crying, and we'd have to stop the game. Or Mark's brother would end up crying, and we'd have to stop the game. Or, you know what I mean? Just basic, somebody cries, and then we stop the game. It's very rare that we finished this game like we wanted to. So that was like a goal. And we did it. We finished the game. Oh, it was great. It was fucking wonderful. We finished the game. And I want to say my team won, but who cares? It doesn't matter. The point is that we finished the game, and I remember I was on, again, it's hard to say, they were a horseshoe shape of these sand dunes, but that's only, if you actually were on the top of them, you could actually follow the top ridge all the way around into the forest that would lead to the other one. It's not like if you were standing on the ground staring at it, it looked like a horseshoe shape. But these sand dunes, again, maybe 20, 30 feet high. They're tall, they're big. You have to, when you climb up them, you got to be careful. I'm on the top of one. I think I was the person actually keeping track of the fire. That's actually, yeah, we must have won, because I would have been the person keeping track of the fire, throwing sand or fucking balls at people to keep away from my fire. And I think I heard we won, so we're good. And I'm like, yes, awesome. We did it. Put out my fire, and I have one last sandball in my hand. And what I do, and you listener will not be able to see this, is this.
Over your shoulder.
Not even over my shoulder. Literally, it's in my left hand.
Imagine somebody faking one of those backwards throw three-pointers with a basketball. Imagine that.
It's not backwards. It's literally from my left hand over my head to my right side of my body.
There you go. You should have just said that.
It's literally that.
It's this. Instead of miming something to me silently.
I wanted to do it. It was fun. So I do this. Unbeknownst to me, my younger brother was walking in the ravine below. The ravine below that I could not see. And he's out of the ground, and I'm on the top of the sand dune, and I just casually chuck it up over my head. Just we're done. I'm not, I'm 13. I'm not going to put it down. Are you kidding me? No, I'm going to throw it. No. And of course, this thing arcs, sails through the air, lands directly on top of my brother's fucking head. Directly on top of his head. And there's literally no way anyone would believe I did this accidentally.
That's the worst part about it.
Exactly. Because I 100% just randomly chucked it, and it hit him directly on the dome, and he dropped and started crying. And it was just a defeating moment in my life that I'll never forget, where I was just like, fuck.
I did everything right? I did everything right.
And just knowing in that moment, no one's gonna believe me. I'll defend myself, but I wouldn't believe me either. I wouldn't believe me if the other way around. Like, no, you definitely chucked it at his head. And then, of course, I got in a bunch of trouble. So, yeah. But anyway, we went home because my brother went crying. The one time we almost didn't do it.
The jumping off point to this is just the getting hit in the head part. You reminded me of, there was this, like, I was living in Tennessee. I'm like 6. I don't know. We had the freedom to go around this neighborhood, bike rides or walking about, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not even that big of a neighborhood. It feels big because, you're little. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why it feels big. And
because you're not.
And it's just like it's just one big loop, and you could exit said big loop to main road. Rather than that, it's ticky tacky kind of houses, that sort of a thing. And there was this one section of an area where like the memory goes in front of this kid's house. I found like a rubber knife once, and I was like, "Oh, rubber knife!
Hell yeah!
Is the coolest thing you could ever find."
I mean, pretty close.
I'm gonna fake stab so many things. Everything. So I had a great time doing that. But that ends up being that this house, there's a kid similar age, less present parents, but similar age.
Less present parents.
So this kid's a little bit of
judgy.
This kid's a bit of an odd kid, I guess. But that's only in retrospect.
Wonder why.
At the time, he just seemed like somebody who got to have more fun than other kids get to have.
And
what I recall, what I recall very specifically is that like
kids are awful.
There's this really big empty house in a backyard, and a dad inside with his feet up on like a lazy boy chair, and he's watching Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. I
Hell
think,
yeah!
Which is the one where he gets hit in the knees with both spears.
That's the second one. That's When Nature Calls.
Thank you. All right, so the Nature Calls one. So that's the first time I ever saw that. But that memory is happening just before going outside and like acting a bit wild. And there was like a truck cap in the back of the
just a truck cap, not
just
on a
truck cap
cool. I know
that
what
is
you mean.
being supported up on stilts in the middle of the backyard. So that's like the cool base place to hide or whatever it is. And this is like the only time that I've ever hung out with that I ever hung out with this kid. And it was also the last. Because I go under the truck cap to like hide in whatever stupid game we're playing, but it involves hitting. And he hits me in the head. He goes underneath the truck cap with what appears to, I guess, was like a random 2x4 that he found that had a fucking nail in it. And he whacked me over the head with it, dude. Woo! With the fucking nail end portion.
Oh, man.
And I remember just like it wasn't even that you went, "Oh my God, I've been hit in the head with a piece of wood." It was, "Oh my God, something very sharp just poked my noggin." And in my
it didn't
head,
stick in, right? Please tell me it didn't stick in.
it did, but not like it didn't stay
No,
there.
what I mean is he didn't leave his hand and it stayed there.
Oh, no,
Okay.
no.
No,
he immediately.
I needed to know
my
that fact.
reaction had an immediacy to his follow-up reaction, which was to gawk and be worried. So that whole hangout ended with parents getting called to show up to then like deliver you to your own house, where you'll then be taken care of in a bathroom setting where they know what it is they're going to do, but you don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
You just know it's probably going to involve a lot of stingy stuff. Peroxide and shit.
Hydrogen peroxide.
I mean, and that's about all they ended up doing really to like solve for it. And that's where the memory ends. Is just they're like, "Holy shit, I can't believe you got hit in the head with a fucking nail board."
I mean, that's fucking crazy. For sure crazy.
And then that was it. It was like, I never saw that kid again. I always wondered why. It's like, oh no, clearly that's why.
I always wondered why.
That's like, oh no,
clear.
that's like a
Clear. Yeah.
That's the end of a relationship.
That's
you get hit
number
with a nail
one
board.
bad friend. Number one bad friend with a bullet or a nail.
That also just sparked off another memory from a couple of friends. It was like 15, 16 or something like that. It's close to July 4th. So people have fireworks. This is in Virginia. They have fireworks. And I had to pee really bad. So I went close to the wood line where there's some trees and stuff. And you go ahead and you drop your pants as much as it is exactly that you need to drop your pants to pee, which, is at least like a third of the way down.
child peeing.
Yeah.
Where you can see butt cheeks.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. And they were like, and they said, it'd be really funny is if we light off one of these bottle rockets and just throw it at him while he's peeing.
That is funny.
Oh, I mean, it was funny for them for sure, but they did it enough. And it's like, you don't know how to stop your pee when you're peeing in order to address the situation. Once you start peeing, the amount of pain that's involved in stopping peeing early on in life, later on in life, you've definitely stretched stuff out a bit. Mm-hmm. But when you're younger in life, you can't exactly just close off your urethra and stop peeing.
I mean, it's hard to do it as an adult. Let's be honest.
It's like imagine an old west is dance, boy, dance. But also you're in the middle of peeing.
Yeah, so of course. So you're just gonna keep peeing while you dance.
So you hammer dance off to the left and then back off to the right because you don't want to turn around and have your wiener visible to the other kids
or to be hit by
an actual firework. Yeah. No, not like it could really even get to you, really. I mean, it could. There's some real danger to it, but there's also not any real danger to it.
I mean, there's some danger.
How dangerous do you think that is exactly?
Enough. I mean, burns. That could potentially be a problem for the rest of your life.
Burns.
All right. Burns. Burns.
So,
what do you know about dykes?
I assume that you mean something that controls water.
No, I don't.
What do you mean by dykes?
So what's interesting is at work recently.
And it's a subgenre of pornography.
Yeah. At work recently, a employee of mine asked me, "Hey, could you get me some dykes?" And I said, "Excuse me?"
I would too.
Because I don't know what that means. And if it means what I think it means, no, I cannot. I cannot do that for you,
You're not the purveyor of the local dyke population?
Unfortunately, I am just woe begone, not that person. Okay. And then I look at him again and say, "Excuse me?" I don't know. And he's, "No, a pair of dykes." "A pair of dykes, sir?" What I come to realize is this person wants a cutting tool, which apparently is colloquially known in the U.S. as dykes. Now,
since when? What is the cutting tool?
I'm about to explain that, but because there's also something else interesting about it. The cutting tool is,
aside from the color of his vocabulary,
wire cutters.
Okay.
And what I mean wire cutters is those wire cutters that are, they're, you got the two handles and they're kind of at an angle and they kind of come in. It's hard for me to explain.
Will they give you a flush cut?
Got a pair around here. Is that somewhere?
These fuckers are right here. This them?
Those. Yeah. These are dykes. You can't see them at home, but I promise you, I got some dykes in my hand. They're basically wire cutters that, kind of look like a pair of pliers. Now, I found out what he meant because I Googled it. And it was just like, oh, yeah, they're like wire cutters. I'm like, well, a lot of things can be wire cutters.
Yeah.
Many things can cut wire. And many things are called wire cutters. And I don't know if you want those big old ones that are really cutting, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, yeah, bolt cutters. Yeah, that's what they are. But anyway, so he wants dykes. And I go to the supply room, and we ain't got none. I've got some wire cutters that are different, that are bigger or smaller, but literally made to cut wire. Dykes, many people call them wire cutters. They're actually just made to cut metal. Now, in looking this up, what I found is that their actual true name is diagonal pliers.
They don't look like they ply much.
No, they don't ply, Klag. They do not. So finding that they are called diagonal pliers is very, very strange. What they do is they cut metal at a slight angle. That's like the point of these things. You know, you take them to a sheet of metal and they cut it at like a little bit of an angle. And they also cut, not in the way that most things cut, where it's like it's got a sharp edge and they cut. The way diagonal pliers cut is that they're just like a wedge that like separates in between. Like that sounds like the same thing, but it's not.
They sort of bend something apart.
Correct. Yeah, they bend it apart. It's like you're putting pressure on a point to break it instead of actually like cutting through it.
Maybe that's why they call them pliers.
Yes, maybe why they call them pliers, because you can actually grip with them. I know. Anyway, it's very interesting that I had somebody walk up to me and say, "Get me a pair of dykes," and I said no. And then I realized, okay, this is what they are. I need them, and we do need them. You know, they're certainly handy tools, but it was a very fun, strange thing, and they're called again diagonal pliers. In England, they are known as nippers.
And nippers. There's a couple of different things. Like that.
And apparently in the U.S. they're called dykes. Or diags, which is better, but still not great.
Not that much better.
No, not much better.
I mean, that's just kind of annoying to say, diags. It's not
diags.
It's like trying to shorten some names.
And it's longer because you shortened it.
Yeah.
Almost.
Like, you're not doing a whole lot of success with that.
Anyway, look up dykes.
So, did you ever have any experience having being a child laborer, or someone who is employed as a child?
Well, I mean, not.
That's what I meant to say.
Employed, but put to work. Yes.
Put to work.
Put to work.
Well, put to work is a little bit different, because if it's by your parents, well, it's just like, that's why they had you.
Yeah. Well, this person didn't have me, so.
But they would put you to work.
They did put me to work. Yeah.
Sore arms at the end of the day, huh?
Yeah. I had the point that's coming to mind, this will be quick, is that I had to dig a trench outside for the French. Yeah, for the French.
The Germans.
The Germans. I had to dig a trench.
They had mustard gas.
And I don't really remember what for, but potentially for some kind of gas line or some kind of potential thing. Again, gas line, water line, something like that. And the biggest problem with it was, and the reason that it was my job, was the simple fact that our soil that I was digging in was 90% small rocks, about 10% soil. So you couldn't just put the shovel in, pull it out, and you got a hole, and then you keep doing that until you've dug your trench. You put your shovel in 3 millimeters, hit a rock, throw that soil, pick up the rock, throw that out, put your shovel in another 2 millimeters, hit a rock.
How old are you?
Throw that rock. I would have been 14, 15, somewhere.
So exactly the time that Shia LaBeouf was playing a character in the movie Holes.
Oh, no. This would have been before Holes.
The first day is the hardest.
This was pre-Holes.
The first day is the hardest.
This was
But
pre-Holes.
the second day is actually the hardest. But really, the third day is the hardest because the blisters have finally burst upon your hands, and you're building up new blisters underneath your old blisters.
That's a very small thing. It was before the movie Holes, and I only know that because my brother and I liked the movie Holes a lot. But the thing is, we didn't actually like the movie Holes. We liked the movie Holes with the kids' a commentary over the movie, and we watched that a lot of times because Shia LaBeouf and the other kids were funny to us at the time. And my grandmother only knew it as the movie where they're talking over it the whole time. That was very funny. Because we watched it more than once. She's like, "Are you watching that movie where they just talk about it?" And I should be like, "Grandma, it's not the actual movie. We're watching like the commentary on the movie." It's very funny. But I know it was pre-Holes because of that. Because this had not happened yet. Anyway, so I was doing that, and the extra funny part is that the only way I got through it, the only way I was able to get through digging that fucking grueling trench that I hated doing the entire time. And I also, it would have been fine if somebody had helped me or blah, blah, blah. No, it was just my job. I was to do it because I have to do it. All that fun stuff was Limp Bizkit. Yep. I admit it here. I'm sorry. I was like 14 or 15.
He dug that trench hole for the nookie.
Yeah.
So
It's worse than that because the album was Hot Dog Starfish and the chocolate flavored water.
You're already well beyond me as far as your
No, chocolate. Sorry, I mixed that up. Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water. And
it's time for a lesson.
it's a bad Limp Bizkit album. I can admit that now. I promise you, it's not good. But at the time, it helped me dig that trench. So, thank you, Fred Durst. Thank you so much.
You would also
so much,
think of-
Fred Durst.
what's that
I mean,
movie
Wes
that he made?
Borland is definitely one of my favorite guitar players. But that's because he's the only person in that band that's any good.
He made that John Travolta movie where he plays Moose.
I haven't seen
Character
that.
Moose.
No, Fan or something like that. It's Super Fan or something, or
I can't remember what it's called.
it has something to do with like being a fan, right? Like,
And-
I haven't
and he
seen
just-
that, but
he
I
has
wanted
a
to see
scene
it.
where he shoves in that he was in Limp Bizkit, where they're just driving in a car.
Yeah, of
And
course
he's
I
like,
did.
"Hey, you like some Limp Bizkit?" He's like talking to his kid. You like Limp Bizkit? Here, let's listen to some Limp Bizkit. And then they just have a song go for about 15 seconds, like just before I
God
guess you'd have to pay your own
damn,
royalties,
Fred.
and then just hard cuts to another scene.
Oh my God. I have heard rumors, and by rumors I mean I know this is true, but rumors because I've never seen a physical evidence of it, that I would assume pre-COVID, maybe he's still doing it, who knows, that Fred Durst hosts a jazz night in California, in like LA somewhere, or Hollywood or whatever. And I was just like, that's all I want to do is see what the fuck Fred Durst does during a jazz night that he hosts. What is that?
He lifts a girl up, and then he swings her forward, and then he swings her up so her legs go around his face and over his shoulders, and then lifts her back off again and goes back down because they're doing a shimmy.
And says, that's jazz.
That's jazz with his hands out.
We play all the notes.
There's the jazz. 1 through 12. So you didn't get paid for your trench digging, huh?
No, I did not get paid. I mean, I got paid in I'm not going to be yelled at for the rest of the night. But, you know, I mean, like, that's as minimal as possible. And even then, who knows if that's true. I just, you know, I can't remember if I was yelled at that night.
So I have a story about getting paid.
This all started from something you wanted to talk about.
Well, yeah. So
And sometimes I forget about
it was a lawn care job, okay? And there's this boy.
How old are you before you start?
Like 14. Okay,
Okay,
freshman
cool.
in high school.
Okay.
14, 15.
Yeah.
I'm a late bloomer to everything. Okay?
I mean, it's fine.
So there's this boy named Lucas. He had a mom who was a teacher, which meant he was a cut-up. There's something he liked doing. He just liked making a whole lot of noise. He liked fucking around, you know? And we had a marketing class together. It was just a marketing
Wait,
class.
you had a marketing class at 14?
Shit, yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
Well, it was sort of an elective.
I know, that's still awesome.
Yeah, well, what they considered marketing was to teach you the point of capitalism is to play Monopoly. So we just
Okay, all right,
we just,
all right.
we just fucking play Monopoly like all the
Not
time.
great.
See the problem, but look, the problem with playing Monopoly is that means that there's dice in the hands of a couple of youngins, especially ones who are cut-ups who like to do some shit that maybe they shouldn't be doing, which involves
Cut-ups.
gambling underneath the table with
play
dice.
craps.
He plays
You're
craps.
crapsing.
Yeah, that boy.
Y'all been crapsing about him here.
Yo, that boy was fucking hustling motherfuckers every
yeah.
day.
Good for him.
Dude,
Good for Lucas.
Anybody that he
Lucas is a great name, by the way.
Lucas gave me my first beer ever because
Lucas.
we just
Hell
started
yeah.
hanging out. We started hanging out, and in all reality,
Lucas, contact me. We can hang out.
I think he's in jail.
Lucas, contact me. We can hang out.
You need a way out of Virginia, son. You get your ass on up to New Hamming.
New Hammond.
You got your contacts right here. Because I realize in retrospect that you just opened my eyes to a new world that I had no idea about because I went to fucking Methodist church. But he gave me my first beer. He taught me about craps. He taught me about gambling. He taught me the valuable lesson of stopping while you were ahead.
That's very valuable.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
So, hey, fuck you. Sorry, can't talk
Klag, put
right
your
now.
phone on silent during the podcast. This is important.
I
say as I check my phone to make sure it's on silent.
All right,
It
so-
wasn't,
The reason I bring up Lucas is not just that we had this class together, but we both got hired by the teacher of this class to do a grass cutting job for her. So,
what you doing to me, Debbie?
So hold on.
Oh, what
her
you doing
name
to
was
me?
fucking
Oh my God! I called it. Hell yeah!
What the fuck?
Hell yeah!
Look, her name was Debbie.
It's just an inside joke with a friend of mine. What you doing to me, Debbie?
Yeah, I still have her email, I think. But look, so
Debbie
we
was
get-
the dean of my college.
Debbie was a
assistant dean?
hoarder.
Oh no!
Debbie was a hoarder, and she also did not take care of her land at all. But like, how exactly?
God, that's what you said. I had no idea what's going to happen there.
Well, she probably had 2 problems with lawn care. But the point being that the unkemptness of this lawn could not be described appropriately to 2 young boys who thought they were going to walk in there with just some push mowers and getting that shit done.
And just get it done.
And doing it for $40, by the way.
You had a push mower?
Dude, we had 2 push mowers and we delivered. Delivered.
By push mower, do you mean?
Oh no, I'm sorry, electric.
Okay.
You know, well, no, like gas powered.
I just needed to know.
Gas powered.
No, I understand.
You know,
I understand.
All right, but we're talking
about. I needed to know it wasn't one of those rotor things.
But we're talking about
that's very curious
3 feet tall grass. Okay. And like after a rainstorm in the humid fucking summer of Virginia.
It's gonna be a bad time.
You're telling me, because it's
Lucas.
The way that you can even cut this grass is to do a wheelie, drop that shit down.
Yeah, I know.
Push it a little bit, have it clog up, turn it off,
wheel
pull
it
it back,
pull it
keep
back,
doing
wheel
the exact
it up,
same thing.
yeah.
This shit required a scythe, and we were not prepared. Okay, we were not prepared for this.
Would have
And
been
we were getting
badass
paid
if you did bring a scythe.
flat rate.
Flat rate of $40.
Flat rate of
$40 each or
$40
each split. Okay,
$40 each.
At least it's each.
All right, but look,
At
you're learning a valuable lesson.
How big is the land?
Half an acre.
Okay.
We're cutting probably
That's
half
not
an
easy.
acre's worth of grass.
Yeah, not easy in
All
this
right.
situation.
And when I said that she was a hoarder, that's a very important detail because she hoards outside too. She's one of the kind of people that's like, oh, I got my old tires and I got this other shit and I got a fucking refrigerator. All kinds of nonsense just laying about. So
the reason she's the dean of a middle school or whatever.
Now look, we're too young to recognize that $40 is not a fucking deal. Okay, $40 seems like a lot to somebody who doesn't have.
It's all
any
the money in the world.
And you got no money.
Yeah, it's all the money in the world.
And you think that you can buy stuff?
You could buy 1,000 candy bars. you can't, but
if you do the math wrong.
Well, yeah, correct, exactly. If you do it wrong.
So Lucas is a bit smarter than me because he knows the realities of the world because he's from a divorced family, single mom.
So he's smarter than you.
Well, that's that's the fucking reality of.
I know it's so funny.
Having a divorced family ends up
makes
making
you grow up a little bit faster,
and therefore you are socially more apt. To have things done. So Lucas realizes it's not a deal, and he's fucking caught up, and really he's just doing this.
It's better if your parents divorce.
I almost feel like he was like doing this job because he was trying to like make up for cutting up as much as he did, or because he actually was stupid enough to think that $40 was a lot of money. I'm not entirely
sure. It could be both. It could be both. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
So we're cutting the grass, and we're starting to get really worn out.
When you're saying cutting up, you just mean like being like a
class
potential
clown.
bad kid, class clown. Yeah.
Well, bad kid who turned into a bad enough to have a rap sheet.
Lucas,
I'm not saying we don't all make mistakes. Everybody makes
Yeah,
mistakes, but some of us are better not getting caught.
That's very true.
Anyways,
unfortunately,
the all of this comes to a head when she says, "Hey, could you also help me out with cleaning out this refrigerator? It would really be useful because I got to move it off the property." So,
was it inside the house or was it on the lawn?
Sir, no, it was outside on the lawn. This refrigerator.
Why did it have things in it?
It didn't have much in it.
Okay, well, that's good.
It had just a lot of filth on the outside and one thing on the inside in the freezer section.
Oh, no.
Only one thing. A kitty cat. A dead one. Pancaked in the bottom in a Walmart bag.
What?
Because it had been in there for a while.
Oh, my God.
And she had completely forgotten that she had one of her dead cats in this. We reminded her of the death of her own cat. 1 and 2. It's now something we gotta handle.
Wow.
So we stopped cutting the grass at about that time. I think the morale just got killed completely. We only got like half the job done, okay? And then if we get my fucking dad to come and pick us up to get us on out of there. So, we moved on out of there. And I just remember I remember that in detail. I remember that being like the kill of like the mood for the whole afternoon.
Yeah, that's
the grass is no longer completed.
Moment.
She ended up having to hire some people to finish cutting the grass. But
that's
she
your intro
in the first place. What the fuck's wrong with her? She's in a marketing class. She teaches a marketing class and she doesn't know the value of real fucking local labor. People who charge the right amount of money for something that they should be doing. So
that was just your first scene in Blue Velvet and you didn't realize.
But I had the inclination because I was too young and stupid to recognize that $40 is a deal for her, not a deal for me. And yet I think that we were getting ripped off by being paid $40. So I said to her, after months of like holding on to all of this without bringing up the cat, I just said, hey, did you like rip me and Lucas off by like only paying us $40? And she said, no.
You didn't finish my grass.
She did not. She did not include that detail.
I mean, she should have.
She just said, no.
No.
You guys were not ripped off. Which that seed was planted by Lucas anyways when he gave me my first beer. We were, and the first beer that I
so
tapped,
he gave you your first beer and said, Mrs. blah, blah, blah ripped us off.
Debbie
ripped
us off by paying us only $40. What you doing to me, Debbie? And then I proceeded to take my first sip of that beer and somehow tap it with my tongue so that it foamed up and went all over his rug.
Of course you did. The very first time.
That's the end of my. That's the end of my child business.
That's
lawn
amazing. That's insane.
That was the end of my lawn care career.
I can only hope in the best light that this person had a cat that died, and they put it in their freezer just to be like, well, I guess I want it not to decay until I have the time to bury it.
I think that's the reason why most people do that.
Yeah. Again, I'm just hoping. But if that fridge is outside, I don't know what. Was it plugged in outside? I can't imagine that to be the case.
No,
of course not. So that,
but it had been unplugged recently enough.
Oh,
so
okay.
It only been moved out there in a very recent amount of time.
Okay, all right. So it was not out there for 10 years.
No.
Ooh.
It was only out there for probably the last 2 days.
What that then
I just don't
means,
see how you fucking. I don't see how you space on that fast.
You don't space on that. You put that off, because that means if you had been using that refrigerator recently, it means you moved the cat to put your ice cream in there a couple times, at least. At least.
Look,
you had to be like, oh, I forgot about this cat. Let's put it in the back.
I gotta get that Breyers. Yeah. I mean, she would eat ice cream.
And if that then refrigerator was then outside on the grass, you had to then empty the rest of the fridge out to put it in your new fridge, then realize your cat is still in there and say, I'm still not going to do anything about it. And
that's why she was having us mow the lawn, so she could start a fucking graveyard.
Probably.
Look, my dad did the same thing with one of our cats.
I understand. No, I'm not.
But he put it in the fridge because there was a real plan.
Yeah, well, that's
the
what
thing
it
is,
like,
though.
I'm not saying that's a
That
general bad idea.
That didn't stop him from asking me to go to the fridge and get him a beer. Making you stare down the fucking dead cat.
Oh, Dad. You got to learn about death early. Otherwise, what you going to be when you grow up? Somebody who doesn't care about death? I'm terrified.
Speaking of pets, you have a dog.
Yeah, I got a dog. I got a dog and a cat.
Has your dog ever done anything in the realm of being somewhat vicious or biting or anything like that?
Thankfully, not so much. My dog's a sweetheart. He's the best dog in the fucking world. I hate all you people. No, I'm just kidding.
That was out of left field. You just accused everybody of being bad.
That's the joke. That's the joke. What way to call it out? No, no, my dog has never been extremely vicious in any sense of the word, thankfully. Obviously, I am a person who's grown up with dogs my whole life, so I do also understand that even though a dog has never been vicious or done anything before, that is still something if you ever have a dog, I don't even care if it's the smallest dog in the world, you should always keep in mind that your dog can potentially, flip out and having it, even if you have the sweetest, kindest, loveliest dog in the world, any dog can have a switch that gets flipped. More noises.
Somebody at the fucking door.
Is there really?
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, go get it.
We're going to actually hit the pause. Well, you know what? Yeah.
No,
Alex,
I'll keep talking.
Just go.
So you can have the sweetest, loveliest, most wonderful dog in the world. They could still flip out. I very specifically know that when I was a child, one of my dogs had gone blind at that point. And while he was basically going blind just because he was old, I was at my grandparents' campground having a great time. My grandfather, which is a story I'll tell for another time, had one leg. There are more stories about that, and I will tell it another time, I promise. But he had one leg, so of course he had crutches. He also had a wooden leg. Again, different story.
It's so fun to pretend
that you have a wooden leg.
I'm sorry.
No, that's great. By the way, look up Twigger's Holiday on YouTube. It's great.
I totally derailed you.
It's fine. So anyway, I was playing with my grandfather's crutches. Why? Because I'm a shitty kid. So I'm just like using them and blah, blah, blah. But I had a dog that was older, slightly senile, was a German Shepherd. Tick 1 right there. Tick number 1 was a German Shepherd. I love German Shepherds. They're some of my favorite dogs out there. But don't ever go into somebody's house that has a German Shepherd unless you are following the person who owns the German Shepherd. Please. At least all I'm saying is respect those fucking animals, because a lot of them, they're very protective. Anyway, I had my grandfather's crutches and, walking around the house pretending I got one leg. And, of course, I got a dog who is blind and starts growling real low. And I immediately freaked the fuck out.
It's just the wrong move.
Yeah, just immediately just like, nope, throw the crutches away, go to another part of the house, just wait until that dog realizes I'm the person that I am. He was, far enough away from me that he couldn't smell me. But so you always have, it doesn't matter what it is. Even a fucking cat, even if you have a cat, something can set them off. And you got to be careful. They're animals. They're not people. As much as we like to think they are, they're not people. And they can be beautiful and wonderful, but anything can set them off. So I have had a few instances where my dog has never been aggressive, but has certainly backed up from people, in a way of like,
He's made a judgment.
Yeah, he's made a judgment. And usually that's because they're wearing gloves or something, or a big coat.
Okay, so he's autistic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if he were a person, yeah. But no, just because like this is a person, they're coming up to me real quick because, man, people out there, chill out around fucking animals.
Oh my God, he's just
chill
the
out.
cutest. Can
I
please?
literally
Please let me pet your puppy.
Well, I live
Please?
near this place called Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Look it up. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. One of my favorite cities in the world.
Most famous person here is John Tron.
John Tron does at one point live in Portsmouth. I don't know if he still does, but my Guitar Center I used to work at can verify that he was here at one point.
They also invented the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Dover, which is
in Dover,
one
yes.
town over.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of good things about this area, and I love this area. Portsmouth, beautiful, one of my favorite cities in the entire United States. It's gorgeous. I love it. We're walking around Portsmouth, me, my wife, and my dog, having a great time. Walking around pre-quarantine, obviously.
Just being wonderfully Caucasian.
Being so white. The main strip in Portsmouth has two Irish stores. I know you're thinking, what's an Irish store? Oh, it's a store about being Irish.
It's not a pub?
It's not a pub. There's no beer sold there. You can buy your family crest. You can buy jewelry. You can buy kilt. You can buy. There's two of them on either side of the street. A little kitty corner to each other.
Hold on. I just want to. You said they were Irish stores. You said you could buy a kilt there. I just want to make sure.
I know it's Scottish. You can buy a kilt there. This is what I'm talking about.
So they're the ones that are wrong.
Yes. This is what I'm talking about. And my last name being O'Connor, my wife's maiden name being Hogan, we're allowed to go in these stores. I'm allowed to make fun of them. Thank you very much. But the point is that Portsmouth is a very white place. New Hampshire is a very white state in general. Anyway, so we're walking down Portsmouth, and there's a family coming the other way. As they do. It is a dad and two girls, I believe. And they see our dog. My dog is a mix of a Bernese Mountain Dog and a Border Collie. He's gorgeous. beautiful dog. He's got these great brown eyebrows that show very expressive faces, blah, 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 whatever. He's wonderful. So this family looks at him and goes, oh, my God, I love him. And I'm, yeah, no, look at him. Hell yeah, you do.
Don't touch.
And they say, can we pet him? And again, he's friendly. They did say, can we say hi? Can we pet him? And I said, oh yeah, absolutely. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, approach him slow, blah, 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 whatever. But again, he's a really friendly dog. He doesn't, you know, dislike people or anything. But that father and the two girls then stand in front of my dog, who is sitting patiently on the ground. And the father's in the middle, two girls on either side, and they just put their faces right down in his face, and all three of them start rubbing him and go, and my dog was perfectly fine. He loved it. He was very happy. But I watched horrified.
Yeah.
Because holy shit. Like, yes, my dog is nice. My dog is great. But you don't fucking know that. Don't you ever put your face in a dog that you don't know. I mean, you shouldn't even do it to a dog you do know. But at least there's something that, you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't do it with a dog you do know, but never with a dog you don't know. I don't care if I, as the owner, said he's friendly. How many fucking people have you ever met who said their dog was friendly? And you're like, that dog ain't fucking friendly. At least not to me. So, like, holy shit. They literally, all three faces in my dog's face and just rubbed and petted. And again, it was fine. There was no issue. My dog was ecstatic to have it happen. But, again, no. Like, they were white. Yeah. If I needed to say it, but
look, your story is just, it's reminding me of the fact that I had a thought just like a few days ago, thinking back to family pets, and how I realized that every dog that my family ever owned bit me. All of them bit me. Every last one. And
you're a bad dog owner. Nah, I'm just kidding.
I didn't own him.
I know.
I lived adjacent to dog
I was
owners.
adjacent. I was also a sibling.
I was on a butter to a dog.
I was in a butter to a dog.
Look,
the dog was a butter to you, okay?
Everyone, except for like the smaller ones, the collies. We had a couple of collies. We had one early on, and then we had another collie later on, and that one never did do no harm.
Never did nobody no harm.
Exactly.
That damn dare
Look,
collie.
We had a Springer Spaniel.
Okay.
And we had a Munsterlander, which is just a German.
Munsterlander?
It's a German Springer Spaniel, essentially.
Okay.
Essentially.
I like the name.
It's a great name. It's mistaken as a Springer. But look,
okay,
so
that makes sense.
So Springer Spaniels supposedly are known for being unhinged.
Really? I didn't know that. But I don't know much about Springer.
Well, I think that's something that someone knows.
Yeah.
Is that they're a little bit bipolar or some shit. Either that or this particular one had a head injury, which I will express really quickly was that he went chasing after a squirrel. This Springer Spaniel went chasing after a squirrel while I watched in despair, chasing a squirrel across the street where I saw a car coming. And, you know, you think the story ends with the dog getting hit by the car. But in fact, the car got hit by the dog. At such a high rate of speed, he flew into the air, pulling a full 360, landing back down on the ground. Now, he just fucking dented the shit out of the passenger side door of this car. And then he waltzed his stupid ass into the backyard being like, I'm never going across the street ever again. And was then afraid of all cars from that point forward. Even if they were parked, just looking, it's like giant machine, head injury, not interested.
I mean, good for him. That's some intelligence.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, but we didn't take the dog to the vet to be like, was he concussed? Did we concuss the dog?
Did it even have any actual injury as far as like outwardly?
Visually, no.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Just the insane
not
jump
cool,
into the sky.
Yeah, not cool, but you know what I mean. Like,
cool is just a deflation.
Yeah, exactly.
Of a mood. I get what you're saying.
Just bring it down.
I'm on the same
bit.
page as you.
Yeah, bring it down.
So this fucking dog, just like, okay, there was like multiple instances where the dog bit the children, like on like he bit like my older brother on like his neck because he was trying to get him out from underneath a table. Like, he was just fucking with the dog while it was underneath the table. Like, it's being...
okay.
Well, you shouldn't fucking do that.
No, yeah.
He's under a table.
You shouldn't fuck with the dog.
It's like fucking with a bear in a
Safe
cave.
space. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Safe
you don't do
space,
that.
Yeah.
When he bit me, though, he bit me on the side of my head because I thought that I could pull off some I thought that I could have
This is not the nose incident, correct?
I thought I could have a homeward bound moment where I gave the dog a hug while he was laying on the couch. Okay, I was just be like, oh my dog, I love my dog. He's my best friend. Let me hug him. And then he's just like, no. And you're like, now the side of my head is just his tooth went in, and it was the first experience with hydrogen peroxide ever. Well, no, that was with the nail to the skull.
Well, we already brought that up.
You could hear the hydrogen peroxide. It still resonates with me. The hydrogen peroxide bubbling because it's right next to my eardrum that they're doing the thing.
Oh, interesting.
But okay, so there's a rule with dogs that has been around since the 90s that I'm describing currently. Where
don't put your face in their face.
Where if dogs bite a certain amount of time, the state says we're putting that dog down.
Yeah.
But you have to report the cases of biting. So we just have a dog that bites, and we just go, it's just how he is. Don't let
the dog bite you.
Don't let the dog bite you. Okay? While at the exact same time, this particular dog is being slowly taught a very, very terrible skill, and that is he learns to growl before eating. He is being taught this slowly over a long time.
Yeah, that's
He's being taught
bad.
to growl before eating because my mother thinks it's a really funny thing that he does that. She goes, "Look, he's praying. He's praying before his meal, just like the humans." Okay, so we get him. So she gets him to growl before every meal. Oh my God! Being like, "Look, he's so cute, isn't it so cute?"
Funny
and then he barks before he goes to full-on fucking eating the shit out of his food.
Yeah, till attack mode.
No, so he is being slowly ingrained to be overly protective of
his
any
food
resources
and his
that he has.
Yeah.
And then the bark before he eats the food, she goes, and it's like he's saying amen. Isn't it cute? It's just the cutest.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
That is all the red flags possible.
Because fast forward to the dog has resource guarding issues, and
nobody's doing anything about it. In fact, it's being encouraged.
How can they possibly at this point? It's clearly beyond knowing how dogs work.
Yeah.
So the dog gets out every once in a while. Well, we've moved to Virginia at this point. The dog gets out every once in a while. From North Carolina.
Okay. You don't even remember.
No, yeah. Well, North Carolina is Raleigh, North Carolina is where the dog ran his head into a car.
Gotcha.
And Virginia is where he almost gets put the fuck down and ruins a marriage.
I was in Raleigh, North Carolina 2 years ago.
So in Virginia, he gets out. And there was a neighbor who would leave full-on piles of food just next to their garbage to be disposed of by the garbage men. They wouldn't put it in the dude. It'd be like a full-on macaroni salad just left out. So if the dog got out,
it was for the garbage men because they thought they were hungry.
It's a tip. So
a southern tip.
He would escape
macaroni salad.
The potluck at the church. So he would escape, go down this little alley, and just start scoffing down whatever food was back there. And in this particular event, we had a friend who was kind of dumb, but, that's regardless. Look, having a friend who's dumb does not justify a dog biting said friend. But this dog bit this friend because this friend said, he's eating that food and he has escaped. Let me grab him by his collar and yank him back away from the thing that only we're aware that he's guarding unnaturally, ferociously. Bites him right on the fucking neck, dude.
Yeah.
Bit him right on the fucking neck.
Yep.
And he's bleeding profusely from this puncture wound.
Profusely.
It was
not great.
Look, and we're all, because the kind of kids that we are, we're just like, the dog didn't bite him. No, what happened was, I swear to you, this is my fucking excuse for the dog, okay? Because you love your dog and you know some shit's going down.
I understand.
And Dad's been called home early for this event, okay? So when Dad leaves work early, some shit's going down.
It's a problem.
And this kid, he's being taken care of. But everybody's like, oh my God, what if story, right? It's what if situation. And we're like, no, the dog, look, he didn't bite him. What he did was he jumped up happily to hug him and then slipped and his tooth hit him on the neck. I swear to you, that was my rationalization in my brain. That's the story I came up with to justify.
So sorry.
What had happened, but you thought it was going to be quieter. So Dad comes home early. And Dad says that's the final straw.
Yeah.
He says because it's outside of the family now. So
Yes,
fuck the kids, right?
Yeah, no, of course.
Dog can bite the kids. Those are my kids.
Those are my kids. I can do what I want. Make another one look just like it.
But if dog bites the neighbor boy, well then
lawyers can get involved.
Neighbor boy talks. Neighbor boy might tell stories.
And lawyers can get involved. Exactly, yeah.
So he put the dog in the car and just drove off, leaving the whole family to just panic, freaking the fuck out because there's not like a discussion about what's happening with this dog.
It's just dog gone, dad
dog
gone.
Dog is gone now, dad is
gone
now.
What now?
And then your
dad come home, no dog.
And your mom is just like, I'm not discussing this with you guys. We're not talking about this, okay? It's like, she's like, you can't ask questions because she's dealing with her own shit right now.
Yeah.
She calls him and says, if you put that dog down, that's the end of our marriage.
Whoo!
So he's left he's left with whatever decision making he has to make in that car. Look, all I remember is
what an interesting moment for your father.
At this point, there's just a flashbulb memory of he slept on a couch for a while.
Yeah.
And that dog did not get killed in that moment.
I mean, wait.
No, that dog did not get put down. That dog survived to the point that his legs atrophied and he bit me in the face 5 years later.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I do know this story.
No. Different dog bit me in the face.
What the fuck? Okay.
No. Look,
no. Wait. Previous to this, I assumed, okay, listeners, you may not know this. My co-host has a scar on his face.
I have multiple scars on my face, too.
Multiple scars on his face. They're not hideous. Don't worry about it.
No, I had very good plastic
He hides
surgeon.
them with powder.
Can't grow a mustache.
Yeah. Can't grow a mustache, but he hides them. Because a couple years ago, he went back home to see his family. And then he came back and said, I got to take off of work for a while. Because that dog had attacked his face.
It bit the front of my nose off.
Yeah,
and it was hanging off the front of my face.
And yeah, he needed a lot of fun times in the hospital.
I was bit bad enough in the face that nobody would tell me what it looked like.
Yeah. And I thought this was part of that story.
Nobody would tell me what it looked like. That's one of the most
part of that story.
Yeah, and I'm not even getting to that story right now because it's just like too extensive.
No, that's too long.
I'm just stuck on this one particular one. No. This dog.
This is a different dog.
This is a different dog. Bit me in the face.
This is crazy.
He bit me here.
Your family breeds death machines.
Yes, they do. Except that they don't now because something
of
changed. I don't know when it was, but the retribution.
Intelligence.
The retribution of bad parents is eventually they become good parents.
One would hope.
Well, sometimes.
One would hope.
Well, anyways.
Yeah.
Look, we're not here to talk about my parents. We're here to talk about this dog. We'll talk about them eventually.
No, I know.
There's enough listeners. Because then it'll be interesting.
That'll be fun.
To an actual
now
audience.
It's just my parents
Now
listening.
It's just sad.
Yeah, because they're the only ones listening.
You think I told them that we're doing this?
Yeah.
No.
My mother loves this podcast.
I would like to have some
freedom.
Mom. I would like to have some freedom in speech.
I understand. No, you should have that freedom.
There are many people who could be defamed in this particular podcast that I'm not ready to talk about yet. But the point is, this dog, his legs are atrophying. He's getting old, and it's like that's what happens to an old dog. The legs don't work so well, and we got stairs in the house, so I tried to help him up the stairs by being nice. Like I recognize,
carrying his back legs.
I recognize that your back legs are fucked, and that you're on your way out. Let me just carry you in the direction that it is that you're trying to go.
Yeah.
And lifting him up was just bites me right in the side of the eye. Right on the fucking eyebrow, like I've got these two eyebrow piercings, and
on the other side,
but but just like the opposite to that is a fucking scar tissue.
Which I just assumed.
When he did it,
by the way, everybody listening, I just assumed was another eyebrow piercing scar because everybody who's had an eyebrow piercing, it looks like that if they took it out. And I just thought, he just took that one out and kept the ones on the other side. No,
never told you this story.
No, I just knew your face was fucked up while I knew you.
Hey, my face is not fucked up. Oh, you mean got fucked up?
Got fucked up while I knew you. I didn't realize that there were previous scars from previous dogs.
Oh yeah, dude. There's so many scars. I got another one up here on the front of my right here. That's from a totally different thing that I suppose we're not going to get to.
No, scars are fine, but specifically from dogs.
So he did that, and I immediately put him down. I go into the kitchen, and I'm like, just kind of, how like when something bad happens, and you just kind of, you take like a wince position and sort of hunched, and you're just like, if you hold this position long enough, then the thing that just happened will have just been a dream.
Yeah, and it won't be the case.
Right. So I go into the kitchen and I just said, Dad, the dog bit me in the face. Is it bad? and he turns around and he says, I mean, you hit it. He said, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, shit, now we're going to have to go to the hospital, aren't we? Like, annoyed.
Yeah, no, as if it's your fault.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, in a sense, it is.
No, this is all premeditated by the dog.
Yeah.
But I like refused that particular one. So in this one particular situation, what I did was we took the skin that was flapped over from the bite and just flapped it back over, put a Band-Aid on the motherfucker, and just
and it
went
healed
on
over
about
eventually.
your life.
Yeah, of course.
So now it's like this weird little skin tag up there. If you look carefully enough, it's like, oh, what's that bump? What's that weird bump? You know, you got to look hard.
That's where it
for
healed.
It's really not that bad. Turned out pretty okay.
By the way, this man that I'm talking to is like, you know, as a cis heterosexual man, a very attractive person that I'm looking at. I just want everybody to know he's not a hideous monster like it fucking sounds like.
I'm going to take all that as a compliment, and that's going to keep me going for the next 2 weeks.
Good.
So that's,
for another 2 podcasts, ladies and gentlemen, we will have another functional co-host.
I suppose, I mean, at this rate, you know, I figure that's probably a good place to end unless you got some rebuttal to what it is that I got to say.
I mean, I have many, but look, I got to pee real bad, so we might as well stop.
Well, thank you all so much for listening. We didn't even say once the entire podcast, except that, you know, if you have any thing to talk about with us, if you would like us to read something on the podcast, talk to you, you know, answer some advice, if you had any questions about the show we do, boxed in on the channel.
Literally anything.
Literally anything.
Just anything.
Even law advice. Even if we're not lawyers, we can still try.
We're definitely not lawyers. We've also been meaning to bring up the fact that on the first podcast, we talked about the GameStop issue, the GME thing, and we keep meaning to talk about it again, and then we don't.
I think other people have already addressed it at this point.
I think you're right. It's almost at the point where we should cross it off the list.
Yeah, we probably should.
But anyway.
So marklarsmarklarmusic at gmail.com. That is marklarsmarklarmusic at gmail.com. MarklarsMarklar music at gmail.com. Email us, write us, tell us anything. It might go to the spam folder, but guess what, boys and girls? I am checking that shit. And in betweens, I am looking. So
and I'm not. I should be, but I'm not. I'm so sorry. I will say, new episode soon.
New episode soon. Progress has been made.
Ooh.
Have a good night.